Sech Avoda zara, Daf Yud Zayin Amud Bey, 6 lines from the bottom. The Gemara brings down Asyul Rabbi Chanina ben Tradyon. The Romans brought Rabbi Chanina ben Tradyon to trial. The Amalei Amai Kas Makas Sakt Maya Kas Sakt Baraisa. Why are you learning Torah? You know the punishment is Misa. He said to them, "Hey, Kasher Tzivani Hashem Elokai, just like Hashem, my God had commanded me. That's why I'm doing it." Miyad Gazal Love, immediately they convicted him or indicted him for Seifa. Val Ishte Lahariga, his wife to be killed by sword. Al Bita Leish Bekuba Shalzenis, and the daughter to sit in the tent of the prostitutes. Allah Lisreifa. They brought up Rab Chanina because. No. Oh, you want? I thought, why is the Eibushter punishing the wife?
Well, they also
they're punishing the whole family. But why did the Eibushter punish the wife and the daughter? We're going to see soon.
It says that she didn't stop him from doing
Oh,
something.
Allah l'seifa. He and Rab Chanina was going to l'seifa because Hashem b'is Yisaf. He used the 42 Shemas letters of Hashem's name to do whatever he wants. And it's like witchcraft, right? How was he allowed to do it for mother? That's a grave sin to use the 42 Shemis for your personal needs. But now we learned in the Mishnah in Sanhedrin, these are the ones that don't have a chelik in Baba. Somebody who's a kaifa in the Torah, he says it wasn't given from the Mishnah. And then and there's no marker for tchisames min ha-Torah. Avashol adds, even one who uses the letters of the Shem Hashem for his own personal things, and the Gemara, he was allowed to do it. So how was he able to be able on such a grave sin? So the Gemara says he didn't. It was Kedei L'Islam. He did it to teach that similarly, if they do witchcraft and perform such things, you should know this type of witchcraft, similar to what I did in the Helik with the 42 Isis, is forbidden. But Umir Kadin, what he did was allowed for this purpose. In Italian, like we learned in the Braisa, when they gave Maisa Kishu, the pasuk says, "Lo yisumad lasois kisayavas hagoyim." Don't learn from how they do the goyim, the witchcraft. It's mashma only lasois to do like their actions. You're not allowed. But you're allowed to learn and teach lahavin, to understand these maisim, which maisim are bad, and you're not allowed to do it. Lahedus, and to teach to your children and to your students that this and this is also. And these maisim are called chukis hagoyim, and you're not allowed to do it. That was the kavanah of Rabbi Chanina when he did it. So if he did it and there was nothing wrong, why did he get punished for it? And the Gemara b'shem Hayges Hashem b'fahes Yadavir, because he did it publicly. He should have done it under the radar. He shouldn't have made it public. Val Ishtay, what about the wife of Rabbi Chanina? Why would they go to Hariga? Because she didn't protest her husband for what he was doing. He used the 42 letters of Shem Hashem, that Shem Hashem, in which he did like magic. So he says she should have been meich. He shouldn't do it in public. And here we learn out. Whoever has the ability to be meich, to protest, and he doesn't, then he gets punished on it. Why was the daughter of Rab Chanina ben Tradyon punished Liesh Bekuba to sit in the tents of Shalzenis or prostitutes? So the Yechnet said, at one time, his daughter, the daughter of Rab Chanina, was walking in front of the great noblemen of Rome. Amru, they said to each other, the noblemen, come and noise, look how beautiful the way she takes her steps, the daughter of Rab Chanina. Immediately she started to even do it better. She was now medactic. Yeah, I'm walking so beautifully. Let me do it right. This is what Rab Shimon Lakish had said. What is this that's written? The sins of my heels should surround me. the Avoda, the sins of a person that he thrashes in this world, and like over here with this girl that she was medakta b'psiyas, Musumalai, surrounding her le yemadin for lost love for the day of judgment. Shosha yatsa shlashton, at the time when all three, the father, the wife, and the daughter, were taken out from the Beis Hamishpat, from judgment. Tzitko aleimus hadin. All three of them justified what Hashem was doing. Accepted it and justified it. Who? Rabbi Chanina Amar said, Hatzur Tom Pa'oloi. Hatzur, the rock, is complete with his actions. But all his ways are just. Yes, of course. That's who is going next. The second part of the pasuk. Kela Muna Vein Aval. Tzadik v'Yashahu. The name is Tzadik v'Yasha. B'tei Yamra. The daughter said, Gadol ha'itzav v'dav ha'aliluyah. Asher einecha pekuchis hakol dachei. Begin with Adam. Losses leish kidrachav. Hashem has showed us the path, the right path, and obviously she went off that path, so that's why she was punished. Amar Rabbi says, "Coming to them tzaddik ma'alola. How great are these tzaddikim? Shenizdamnu lahem shalish mikrei shel tzidikatin b'shas b'dik b'shas tzidikatin. How great are these righteous people that they justified what Hashem was doing to them at the time when they were being taken out to be persecuted or prosecuted and persecuted, to be killed. When Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma fell ill, Rabbi Chanina ben Tradian went to visit him. Rabbi Yosef said to Rabbi Chanina, my brother, don't you know that this nation, the Romans, it's min hashamayim that they're ruling? They destroyed the base. They burnt the heichal, the hagias chasidov, and killed all the chassidim, the pious. The ibdas teivav, and he got rid of all the best of the yidden. But and nevertheless, the Malach is still existing. And I heard about you. Nevertheless, you're still sitting and being and you're gathering people together and you're teaching them. And Sefer Torah is now in your lap, so you don't have any excuses like yesterday with the Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer was able to say, when they said they called you Rebbe, he says, no, Rebbe, I'm a Rebbe of a weaver. I'm not a weave. And there was a miracle. They asked, oh, you're not a weave. They brought the two tools. Which one is Shesi, which was Zarev? So they made a female and a male wasp lie. So he should know that the male is the one that goes into the female. So he knew Shesi and Arev. He knew Shesi's brought into the Arev. Anyway, over here, there's no excuses. He wouldn't be able to say, I'm just a Rebbe of a weaver. He has a Sefer Torah. That's it. The Sefer Torah is mamish in his lap. From Hashemayim, though, he'll have pity. I'm telling you sensible things. You're telling me hidden shorei. I'm telling you what they're going to do to you. You have to be careful. I'm wondering that that I think they might burn you together with the Sefer Torah. Chanina said to Rabbi Yossi, Rebbe, if that's what you're saying, what will be with me in the life of Elam Haba? Rabbi Yossi says, is there any special incident with you that you went through a test that came through your hand? Rabbi Chanina says, yes, Moishal Purim. I set aside money for the Sudas Purim. It's helpfully, and it got exchanged by Moishal Tzedakah.
Is there anything that could be
That schus for me to say that you have any schusim to get into Elam Haba. So he says, yeah, that he gave him money. He says he gave him money, and the money was set aside for the Suda Purim, and it's helpfully, and that money that was set aside for Purim went for the Moishal Tzedakah. He gave it, distributed for the regular Aniyim, the Chalak the Aniyim. And then what did he do? He replaced that money with his own personal money. I don't know if he was for tzedakah, or it was his own money that he set aside for his Purim, and he by mistake gave it to the Aniyim, so he took out money again to distribute for the Aniyim, regular aniyim. Avaloi, Rabbi Yossi said to Rabbi Chanina and came that you were ready to be mavata on your money, from your chelik in the Torah, yehi chelki will be my chelik, and from your girl and my simtain, yehi geirali. You know that they made a shutfus that we'll both. You're going to come into mine, I'll come into your chelik abayom abba. Amr Chacham said, it was just after a few days that of this incident, Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma passed away. The whole and all the great noblemen of Rome came to bury him. Vispidu, who has been God, and they made him a great eulogy. When they came back from the Lavaya, and said, they saw it, they're coming back. And this guy is but Pumbi, Rab Chanina ben Tradin. I learned from the ganze Kehila with a group. This poor, the Sefer Torah Menuch Leib Chalkei, and the Sefer Torah is lying on his lap. Have you ukrachu b'Sefer Torah? They brought him, and they wrapped the Sefer Torah around him. Kivu b'chavilas meides, and they tied him up with branches. And the heat sisu b'hem, so they ignited the branches of fire. They bought cloths of wool, of cotton, and they soaked it in water. They put it on the heart of Rabbi Chanina that he shouldn't die right away. He should suffer this pain, so that his neshama shouldn't leave immediately. His daughter said, "Abba, father, and is it right that I should see you this way?" I mean, she was tiny. I know that you learn Torah. It says, "Wait to me that Ashani Oraya Ois Mekach Ha'im Zeu Haschar Limud HaTorah V'Habatzasa." Is this the schar for somebody learning Torah and spreading the Torah? Amala Ilamali Hanin Nesaf Levadi. If I would have been burnt myself, Hayadav Kashali, this would have been hard to me. Now that I'm being burned, that the Sefer is being burnt with me, Misha Mevakish, meaning the Eidishter who's going to take revenge al Beina Shel Torah on the disgrace that they did to the Sefer Torah for burning the Sefer Torah. Who Yevakish, the Eidishter will also take revenge on those that al Beini, for those that burn me. The Talmidim said to him, "Look how long he's burning. He's fire is very hard to absorb." And he's talking conversations with his daughter. And now the Talmidim are asking him, "Rabbi, what do you see?" I'm like, I see the physicality is not burning, but the oisies are the Kazakhs are flying in the air. And he meant about himself also that he is physically burning, but the oisies are that he learned is going up Lamaila. So they said, "Listen, open your mouth and let yourself die first. Let the fire come in." It's better that his neshama should be taken by the HaKadosh Baruch Hu and not to take his own nefesh. From here we learn out this. Here's the whole shaila. If you're allowed to cut off somebody from the machines, it's better that the Eibush should take his neshama on out. Anyway, that's the whole shaila over there. The executioner said to Rabbi, the executioner says, if I make your death come fast, I'll make the fire much bigger. I'll pull out all the cloth with the water that's on your heart, so you should die immediately. Will I get in my bar with you? I'm like, hey, it seems like Rabbi Chanina was burning his heart. And here he's not giving his own neshama. Here he's not breathing it in. It's somebody else doing it to him. Hey, he says, swear to me. So Rabbi Chanina ben Tradian swore to this executioner. Immediately he turned on the fire much bigger, and took off the cloth that was on his heart. Immediately he passed away. Afu. So this executioner also jumped. And fell into the fire and burned. Yatsa Baskel ve'amra. Baskel came out and said, "Rabbi Chanina ben Tradian uklatz toiniri muzamanim heim chayim haba." They're both prepared and ready for Elam Haba.
Why did the executioner do it? He did so
He saw Mistama as a tzaddik. Maybe people they saw in the fire also. Just like you told me, they said That's why they asked him. On the bottom it says, "Em Gizan Nepes Tutzig Latin."
Goy, ich can eat.
I shall the go Gizan Eichet. Right? Bacha Rabbi Yama. Rabbi cried and he said, "Yesh Kenya Elam B'Sha'achas." There are those that could be kind of the world, the Elam Haba, in one moment. Yesterday we learned about Rabbi Lezer ben Daria, that he lived with every woman conceivably, whatever. And he went, and he found out about a woman who was overseas. He had to travel 7 seas, and he got to her with a whole purse of money. He gave it to her, and she blew, as others say, from the mouth or whatever. And he said, just like that air went out, cannot come back, you'll never be able to do tshuva. You're never going to be able to return. So it says the whole story. At the end, he put his head between his knees and cried till his neshama went out. And he was called Rebbe Dodarja. He was Mucham Leilam Haba, and Rebbe cried there also. Look, a guy is Kenya Elam B'Sha'achas. Bruria the Visra Rab Meir. Bruria was the wife of Rab Meir. Brata de Rab Chanina ben Tradian. She was also daughter of Rab Chanina ben Tradian. You have to remember there was one daughter that was put into the tent of the prostitutes. Amr Loi, she said to Rab
Are you
Meir.
talking about his daughter?
No, this is the one, the other one. So she says, "Zila bi misla yasa chasayi bekumishal zaynas." It's a chepet to me that my sister is sitting in a batei zaynas. Now the shaila is, how could she say it's a chepet to me? It's a chepet to her also. I mean, why she sounds like selfish. In a way, you'll see in the Gemara. Maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe she wasn't such a tzidkanias. But then I remember another story. She is. We'll talk about it later. Shakat hakaba the dinar v'yozal. Rabbi Meir took 3 kavim of gold, and he went to the Batei Zenes. Amar, he said to himself, if she never committed adultery, never lived with a man, I can perform a miracle. If she did a Isur, she committed adultery, then no miracle can happen to her. He went and he dressed himself like a Roman horseman. And he said to his sister-in-law, Hashmi'eni li, please live with me. She didn't recognize him. Amar li, dashatona havna. She says, Amanida, you can't live with me. Amalov misrachna mirtach. I'll wait till the neither goes away. Amar li, nefishim tuba, what are you standing here? There's so many better women, the shapirim that are more beautiful than me. And Ishmamina lo yav the Yisurim. So he said to himself, if she's saying it to me, she doesn't know who I am. So she's probably saying it to everybody else. So Shmamina lo yav the Yisurim. Probably she didn't do the Isa. Kol de'asa amar le'haki. Whoever's comes to her, she probably says the same thing. He went to the one that's guarding her. And he said to this Shema, Hava Nahali, give me this Naira. I want to take her. The Shema says, Mr. What are you kidding? I'm afraid of the Maluch. They told me she has to stay here. Says here, here's a bunch of money. Half you'll bribe yourself whenever they try to convict you, and half to keep for yourself. The Shema says, when my money is depleted, what will I do then? Amalei, Rabbi said, Ema Elahad the Meya Aneni. You ever hear the song? Marcus, he sings it. Elahad the Meya Aneni is the God of Meya should help me. We say this. You have to also say this is gula for this.
Isn't that a song there?
Yes.
Who sings that? What's his name?
8th Day.
Who?
8th Day.
No,
The Marcus boys. Yeah. They go through the whole Gemara.
What's his name?
Marcus.
Schmelzer.
Yeah.
Also has a different song, yeah.
Oh, I only know that they sing the whole story, this whole story. So anyway, Lahad Meyaneni is also Zgula. They light a candle. If somebody's not zara, it says you light a candle and you give tzedakah and you say Elahad Meyaneni, and you're supposed to have whatever kavanah may had should be applicable here, and that's how you get out of it.
If you lose something,
You lose something for sure. Yeah, that's not for sure, but that's one of the schools. But it's for everything. And you'll be saved. Amalei, the Shem says, okay. Who says this? The chanting, this wording that you're saying is going to help. Amalei says, now you'll see. There were these klavim. Here it says they were biting. There were these wild dogs, and he shakal kala shadabahu. He took the shema, took a clod of earth, and he threw it on the dogs that they should chase Rab Meir. Have a Kasla Meichel, they came to attack Rab Meir. Omar Lahad Meyani Aneni. He says, the God of Meir should answer. Shavku, immediately the dogs went away. So the Shema saw it helps. So he gave him his sister-in-law. At the end, the Melucha heard about it. Asua, they brought this Shema to judgment. Askula Skifa, they brought him up to hang him. Amar Lahad, the Meir Aneni. The God of Meir shall help me. So what happened? Here he brings down either the ropes kept on tearing that held his neck, and then when they got a thicker rope, the door on the bottom did not open. Every time he said the lahad, the Meyaneni helped him. Ramulay, my height. One second, Achasua. They took him off this hanging place. Ramulay, they said, look, we're not successful to hang you. It's not. Every time you say these three words, nothing happens to you. My height. What is this? He tells him this is the story. Then they didn't have the wanted signs. They weren't able to print on paper. So they would carve it out in the stone. And they would write, whoever sees this face should bring him to the authorities. Whoever sees this face should bring him. One day they saw, some of the Romans saw Rab Meir. They ran after him. So Rab Meir ran to the Batei Zainis. He saw Bishulei Evdik Yechavim, a goyish food which is treif. Tamash Beha, Umase Beha. He dipped one finger and sucked the other finger. They should know. And they thought that he's eating treifus. Eliyahu came and was in the disguise of a prostitute, and she was hugging Rab Meir. Amri, chas v'sholem, this cannot be. If it was Rab Meir, he wouldn't have done any of these things. Come, Arakos Lebubble. He's got up and he ran to Bubble. He ran to Bubble from Eretz Yisrael. Others say the reason why he ran to Bubble, it was from this story. Meaning from this story that they were chasing him, the Romans. The Bruria was listening to a Gemara. It says that they were saying that Noshim died in Kalas, and she started to laugh from this. So Rab Meir says you shouldn't laugh because you could chas v'sholem get stumble on that. And he sent his students to test her, and the student didn't live with her, but so she realized that the husband says, you see, Nashim Daita Kailas, you're ready to fall into the hands of my students. So she was so embarrassed, so she committed suicide. And because not here, no. It says in I'm just saying Pam Kiddushin. In Kiddushin. It says Kiddushin Dapei Amid Beis. So that's what happened. And she committed suicide, and out of shame, he ran away. So that's why I said maybe Bruria, when she said it's a disgrace to me, maybe it sounded selfish. But then I remember there's a story with Bruria, her two sons passed away, and Rab Meir kept on asking where the two sons are. At the end, after Shabbos, she asked if it's nighttime. She says, if I have a pekadin, do I have to give it to the poor man at night if he's cold, or do I have to give back his thing at night? She says, sure, that's Azarias. So she brought him into the room, and she understood that the two sons were dead, and it's a pekadin, so that's how she calmed it down. So maybe others say I think over there they say she was Eishes Chayil over there, and that's the epitome of Eishes Chayil, of a Bruria. Okay, those that go to how do you call coliseums or to theaters, and they see these snakes and the machashvim and those that they make the snake, they sing and they make the snake move around. The charmers, Bukyan, Mukyan, Mulyan, Velulian, Veloidan, Salgunan. These are all mini litzanim, all different kinds of clowns. Then he's sitting between leitzim, and upon them the Torah says Asher Ish Asher Lo Yihalach B'atzas Hashem. Praises the man that he didn't follow in the ways of Hashem. Ki im says Hashem Chefzei. Only in the Torah of Hashem he desires. Halaman. What do we learn now? That these things, chayk and latzanis, bring a person to bittul Torah. Or a middle fact, it says, it says you can go to Tzadina, it's muta, because he could scream and save the Lamashal. They used to put in these Colosseums simple yid who didn't know how to fight, or even goyim, and they would force him to fight against a gladiator. So the people could vote the guy should fight and get, obviously will get killed, and people voted no, not him. So he was it says you were allowed to go, Yidden were allowed to go to vote, no, not him, to save the Yid. And to the theaters, Medina, when they put the city under siege, to save the Yidden from the city. Providing that you don't join the government in the siege. You think, because if you're part of the government in the siege, you'll be able to pull out other Yidden. That's not permissible. Only if you're an outsider and you vote no, we want the Yidden out. If he joined them, then it's asa. Kasha, it's nadin, kasha karka. We just learned the Braisa. You're not allowed to go to these Colosseums, to the theaters, and here you say you're allowed to go to both of them. Says I understand that by the siege is no kasha kam b'mischashim. The place where we said it's us is talking about he's joining the government in making the siege. Kam he's talking about where we said he's allowed to allowed to join, but not join the government, not to join the politicians, just as an outsider vote against and let the Jews out from the siege. What are you going to answer there? What are you going to answer with the Colosseum? It says, it's not the Tanya that we learned in Abraisa. You're not allowed to enter these Colosseums because it's Moshe Leitzim. Rav Nosson Mater mipnei shnei dvarim. Rav Nosson is Mater because of two reasons. Mipnei tzeveichu matzel, because he can vote against that this gladiator, this yid who shouldn't have to fight against the gladiator. That if Taka Yid was ended up in that Colosseum to fight against the gladiator or against the animals that they had chasing him and he got killed, they would be able to testify for the woman that he's dead. These are places where people gather for schayk and letzonis. Because over there they gathered to collect money for the needs of the Avoda zara. Those are the words of Meir. If it's a place where they gather for Avodas Gechavim, it's awesome. Because we have to, people will suspect that he's joining with the goyim for the needs of the Avoda zara. But if it's a place where they don't gather for Avodas Gechavim, for the Avoda zara, awesome and pnei Moshe Leitzim. Then it's the Isis because of Moshe Leitzim. What's the difference between Rav Meir and the Chacham? Amar Chanina Misura Nos v'Nosan Ikvanayu. Rav Chanina Misura said, if they did business, that will be the chilik. If you learn that the Isis both, then if you say that it's a place for Avodas Gechavim, like Rav Meir says, then it's always us to keep that money. Whatever money you made from these, you sold them animals at that place, that gathering, that money you're not going to be able to keep because it went for Avodah Zarah. But if it was Sai for Avodah Zarah and Sai, the Sai Moshe Leitzim Lav Dafke was always Avodah Zarah, so it's not a Badai. So we can be Talui that it says something and he's allowed to keep the money. It's Lav Dafke was collected for Avodah Zarah. Zag the Yimar Darish, what is this that's written in the pasuk? Asher Ya'ish, Asher Lo Halach B'atzas Hashem. Praised is the man who didn't follow in the counsel of the Shoim. In the path of the sinners, he didn't stand. And in the place where Leitzim sit, he didn't sit. Thank you, Mother. Right at the beginning, Asher Lo Halach B'atzas Hashem. Everything is over. Where is he going to stand? And now that he's not standing, what do you have to say? He already said, finished. It should be end over there. Where was it shy for him to be a let's? He's come to teach us that once you do follow, then you'll stand to watch. And if he's standing to watch, at the end he will sit. In lots. And if he'll be a let's, and then it says, meaning you will be left over with your letzanis, and there'll be, of course, yisurim for it. It's like we say that when the time when the Rebbe was around, when the Rebbe was physically, we saw him and he was bringing. So those bachim that were sitting, they said, when you're going to get married, you'll be laying. if you're standing by Fabrengen, when you get married, you'll be sitting. But if you're sitting as a bacha by the Fabrengen, you'll be laying then later after you're married. So that was here. Amar Rebbe Lazar, Kol HaMisloitzes, Yisurim Bain Alav. Whoever's a let's and his misloitzes, Tzaris, Yisurim and torture will come upon him. Remember, V'ata'al tis loitzatzu, pen yaskol ma'aseichem. Don't behave in a let's dick away, because you're going to strengthen the Yisurim. Amlahem Rabbi Avoda. Rabbi said to Rabbanim to the Chachamim, "B'matusa, I beg of you, be'inam enaychel. I'm asking of you the loy tisloitzitu, the loy leis alaychel yisrael, so that you shouldn't torture shouldn't come upon you. Amarav ketina, kol misloitzis, whoever's is misloitzis, he's a letz. The meaning of letz, the difference between a joke and letzanis is a difference, like it says Rabbah before he started his sugya, he would say a joke. There's a difference between a joke and litzanis. Litzanis is degrading the Torah, degrading a tzaddik. A joke is a joke, but it's not degrading nothing. So he says, somebody who's a prophet litzanis, mezainos are mismatin. His mezainos are diminished. Shenever, like it says, Mashach Yadi, the Eibishter pulls back his hands and slates him from the legs. Whoever's misleitzes falls into Gehenna. Shenemet, like it says in the pasuk, Yor Leitshmai. Somebody who intentionally is haughty and is a letz, he's called a letz. He's doing with fury the sin. Gehenna. Ever means Gehenna. Shenemet Yom Ever HaYemahu. The day of Gehenna is that day. Whoever is haughty about, he falls into Gehenna. Like it says in the pasuk, it says about Yori, he's also let's, and and he does with fury sin. They never and ever means Gehenna. Says like it says that day of fury is meaning is that day of Gehenna is going to be in that day. Amar Rabbi Tanchum Ba'chan Eloi Kol HaMisleitzes Goyim Kloi Eloilam causes not just destruction, that complete destruction to the world. So remember, like it says in the pasuk, maybe the Yisurim will strengthen, meaning that it will be completely destroyed. It's this litzanis is so hard. The beginning starts off with torture. The Sefer Kloya at the end is full destruction. I will stop over here.